Hi, Lincoln Fillmore coming to you from the state capitol. Actually, I'm in a little room just outside of the Education Committee, which will be starting in just a few minutes. But wanted to take a break here on Friday afternoon to update you on some things that have gone on this week. And I want to start by talking to you about one of my core responsibilities. I'm the chair of the Senate Rules Committee, and that has second unique responsibilities there. I don't think most people know what that is. You'll see in the news sometimes, at the powerful Rules Committee, but really what that means is it's the committee that first sees every bill. And what that means is that I'm reading every bill before it's introduced to the state Senate. And in that way, I am kind of like the guy who finds the patterns. For the most part, the legislature is dealing with bills largely as they come up. Legislators read them in advance, but we're typically reading small groups. It's like we'll read the 5 bills that are going to be on my committee agenda this afternoon. I'll read those, make sure I know what's going on. Let's read these bills that are going to come up before a vote on the floor. But I read every bill before it's introduced to the Senate, and that way try to spot patterns, and we try to look for specific areas. So, for example, today, I spent time reading every bill that either creates or enhances a new crime or criminal penalty. And the reason that holistic look is important is because it's easy to take each one of these that come through and say, should we punish that a little bit more harshly? Sure, we should. Or should we expand the crime to include this new aspect? Sure. But in total, those can really serve to be an infringement on personal freedom. And so we just kind of look at those things as a totality. And then I work with Jordan Tusher, who's my counterpart in the House. We get together regularly and talk about what patterns we're seeing and then raise those to the body as a whole so that everybody kind of gets a chance to look at the whole picture rather than to just see a couple of bills at a time. In that way, I hope I'm contributing to is overall better legislating because we're seeing the whole picture for what it is and keeping that in mind rather than just looking at things on a one-off piecemeal basis. I hope that was informative to you. I want to take a minute to thank people who've come up to visit the Capitol. Schools come up here on field trips. I was excited to see the student body officers from Paradigm High School in South Jordan up today. And it was really exciting to see the students from Apogee Micro School. So this is a newly created micro school that were able to be created because of a law I passed 3 years ago. And they operate in the old Marv Jensen Recreation Center. It was fun to see them. It's a small group of kids who kind of have a unique approach to education, and they're like a cluster of students of all ages that receive instruction. It was really fun to be able to meet those. But I also saw a group of teachers, a group of school counselors came up to the Capitol today to talk to me about bills that they have on their mind. And that is just so informative to me and helps me get the perspective of the people I represent, and especially the people that these bills specifically affect. So I'm glad to have all those come up. And again, I want to extend an invitation to you. Anytime you want to come to the Capitol, you can join me sitting on the Senate floor watching Senate debate. I'd be happy to step back in the lounge and talk to you about an issue that's on your mind for a few minutes. Just let me know. My email and phone number are on the screen. And before we wrap up, I want to update you about a couple of things that I'm working on. I think I try to regularly respond to constituents and listen to their ideas about bills that they're working on. So I've got several bills that were brought to me by constituents, and several of those have now passed the Senate and they're over in the House. Some have already passed committee over in the House. So it's exciting. The river restoration amendments that works to clean up the Jordan River and build boat ramps and kind of on-river recreation tools so that you can get on a kayak and paddle up and down the river if you'd like to. That's passed committee. It's just waiting for its final vote in the House. We also run a bill on alimony that affects some constituents of mine. It's been good to hear from them about that. That has passed the Senate, is now over in the House. So we're continuing to make progress. I'm going to just check my notes for just a minute here. My school technology bill, which is really a transparency bill. When I tackle these kinds of issues, I try to approach it from a transparency standpoint rather than to try to put regulations on schools. Just say, let's be open and clear with what so that parents can see what's going on. So this is about school technology, and on here I want you to think about Chromebooks and other technology, computers and tools that schools provide to students. We just want to make it so that parents can get on, see what websites their kids are visiting, how much screen time they're spending at school. I think that helps parents, kind of balance screen time overall, see what they can do to enhance what they're learning at school by seeing what websites they visit, things like that. Also find problems where they exist. Sometimes kids at school use computers the way they're not supposed to, and parents ought to be able to find that out. That tool is also now passed the Senate. We're very excited about that, and I think that'll be in a House committee on Monday. So there's a little update for you. Call me or email me if you have any questions. I know that some of you have tried to call, and that the phone number that's listed for me on the state Senate website is out of date. So the phone number that's on the screen is the right phone number for me. I've been working with the technology team actually for a couple of weeks to get that updated. But I know if you call the number on the state's website, you'll get a weird out of service message. But the number on the screen will reach me directly, and that number is also on lincolnfillmore.com, my personal website. So thank you so much. Please stay in touch. We're nearing the midpoint of the legislative session, so I'll be back next week with another update.